So the concept we are going to learn today is customer exit. Okay, customer exit variable. So in SAP BW4HANA, how to implement a customer exit variable, where to write code and all, we are going to, how exactly it is customer exit variable works also, we will learn in this session. So what is a customer exit variable? So customer exit means like, we use variables. For example, if I go to my system, BW system, I have a query called SR sales 00 Q01. Okay, it was a sales report. So in this sales report, I have a selection screen on cal month. Okay, and on the cal month, generally we define variables. On the selection screen, we provide some variables so that we will get the selection screen. Okay, sorry, on the filter section, we define variables so that we get the selection screen. So if I go to RSRT and try to execute my report, what will happen? Based upon the selection screen I defined, filter I defined, I will get the selection screen. Correct? So if you see here, so calendar year month, I got this value I am getting from the buffer, because just now I executed for this month. So I am closing this one. I will try to reopen my BW system. Okay, you see, nothing is coming. So why nothing is coming? Because I created a variable. No, I provided a variable on 0cal month, which is of type manual, which is of type mandatory. So that's why it is showing here it as a mandatory symbol here, red color symbol. And then it is a mandatory single value without initial, and input ready, so which is input ready. So for that reason, when I'm executing this report, I am getting a selection screen in that it is asking for to provide some input. Without providing this input, it won't come. Okay, so now how customer exit concept comes into picture. So users will execute our reports on day-to-day basis. Okay, so every time they're executing the report, they must provide some input to this particular column. So they will go to F4 help and identify one of the month, whichever month they want to execute the report. They will provide the month and then they will run the report. Okay, so this is what the activity users will do when they wish to run execute this particular report. So providing this input is also one task for the user. Okay, so sometimes what they require is, so I don't want to enter the value manually here. Whenever I execute the report, pre-populate with the current month or last month. It means whenever I try to execute this month, I must get automatically the month number from the current month. So currently we are on November 2022. So it must be populated with the 011.2022. Okay. Sometimes if current month they are not interested and they want to see last month data, they may ask populate the last month, which is October 2022. Okay, either case they may ask the requirement. So if something that needs to be pre-populated here, then there is an option for the customer exit. Okay, if we are not entering manually and it has to come automatically, via programmatically with using program, then we use the customer exit concept. In BW on HANA, we write the customer exits on C mode. On BW4 HANA, there is no C mode concept. Even in our previous sessions, we execute when we learn data source enhancement, we went to CMOD to create the exit and implementation and all. But what happened in BW4 HANA, in the CMOD, there we don't have any exits which trigger this customer exit. But sorry, BW4 HANA, in BW on HANA, it is still available. Okay, so now since we are learning BW4 HANA on BW4 HANA, so I am going to show you where to write this customer exit. So we will write customer exits in BW4 HANA on using enhancement spot. Okay, SAP given one enhancement spot called RSROA variable exit. Okay, RSROA. We have few other also on RSROA. You see RSROA, OLAP aggregation engine, OLAP variable exit, HANA exit. So currently I want to implement one variable exit, RSROA variable exit. We need to go for the to this enhancement spot, go to display. So this enhancement spot was given by SAP standard one. Okay, we are not going to change this one. but in this enhancements part I am going to provide create one implementation. So simply it is like a folder. In the folder how we place our files, in the same way in the enhancements part, which is a standard for the customer exit, I am going to create my own implementation. Okay, it means my own folder I'm creating under this one, like that. Okay, so we need to create our implementation. So how to create implementation here? So before going to the creation of implementation, first we need to create one variable which is of type customer exit variable. Okay, how to create a customer exit variable? So go to Calmonth info object on the left hand side under the info provider section, right click on it, go for new variable. When creating variable, it is good if you follow some naming conventions. Each project has their own naming convention, but the naming convention which I prefer, okay, which I prefer is, I will teach you now. So the variable name must starts with the info object name. Because I am creating this variable on 0 Calmonth, I provide 0 Calmonth here. And after that, I will mention whether it is mandatory, okay, mandatory or optional. So either one it may be, right? So if it is mandatory, I will provide M, or if it is optional, I will provide it as a O. Okay, so these either one of the letter I will mention as a first letter in my naming convention after the info object name underscore M. So after mandatory optional option, then next what I will check is whether it is single value, multiple single value, or interval, or selection optional. So now for single value I will use S, for multiple single value I will use M, for interval I will use I, and for selection optional I will use O. Okay, in our case I want to create a variable with single value, so I am going to keep the next letter as S. So next, so after this one I will check whether it is a input ready or a customer exit. If it is input ready, I will use I. If it is a customer exit, I will use E. So I am using E here, and underscore followed by one sequential number. If for example one is already available, then because you see already there is a field with MSE01, so I need to go for a next sequential number 02. Okay, and provide the same info object name here, calendar, year, or month. So this was the naming convention which I feel good and I will follow mostly. But when we work on the project, so we must follow the project naming convention. Okay, and after providing this technical name accordingly, you must specify the option also, because it is a processing by customer exit. You must select here customer exit and single value, yes, single value, and then click on finish. So having a proper naming convention will help us to understand the to easily searching also. Okay, how many to find the easy, we can easily find customer exit variable, single values and all like that. Okay, here I need to change it as a mandatory because I given. So there is a mandatory with initial, mandatory without initial. So what is the difference between with initial and without initial? It's a simple. For example, I have a filter on material. Okay, so when if I have a filter on material, if I am not providing anything as a filter to it, okay, that to mandatory filter. I have a mandatory filter on material in my query, and if when I am executing my query, I must provide some value to it, like M1 or M2, whatever it may be. If I provide some value, then only system will bring some data. So when you providing this data, if you provide hash here, which is nothing but initial, right? Hash means null. So if you provide null, if system wish to accept null also, then you must provide here, where is it? With initial, mandatory with initial. It means whenever we have a mandatory filter, if you wish to bring some null records also into your report, definitely you must define mandatory with initial, or else only if the records which are filled with material, only those comes into picture. And in your case, if you don't want to bring any null data into your report, then simply create variable as mandatory without initial, so that it won't accept hash as a input value. Okay, you must provide some uh, proper value there. Okay, so in our case I am going to create mandatory without initial. because it is mandatory for the user to provide the calendar month always. Okay, mandatory without initially selected, and which is input ready, and click on save. So why I am giving it as a input ready? Why? Because user wants to pre-fill the cal month with the current month. But if he wish to change it to previous month or different month, we still providing option for him to edit the value. That's why it must be input ready. Okay. So next, 1 second. So we are done with creation of this, variable. Now keep this variable as a filter to your info object. So 0 cal month MSE02. So if you provide the naming convention and if it is easy to identify, then what is the benefit of doing so? What will happen is whenever if I want to know the customer exit variables from this list, easily I will check with the E. If I want to know any interval kind of variable, simply I will check the second letter, and if wherever it is I, then I can get to know, okay, this is interval variable. Then I will check whether it is satisfying my requirement or not, like that. Okay, so I am restricted my info object with the variable and I'm clicking on save. And currently we created the customer exit variable with single mandatory and single value, and not written any implementation. Still our this particular query works fine. Okay, so if I go to slash and RSRT and execute my report, still the report works fine, even though we did not implemented any logic for it. But what is the problem? It won't pre-fill with any value here. The 03 which came now is the buffer value which I given in the last time. Okay, so it won't fill with any value here. So in order to fill it, we must do some implementation. So the implementation we need to write where we need to implement that one in the RSROA variable exit BAdI. So how to create the implementation? So go to this BAdI, go to the enhancement spot elements definition. Here you will see one interface or filter and implementation. Under double click on this implementation. Okay, and after that right click here, create BAdI implementation. So after creating BAdI implementation, you need to click on this create button. Okay, in this create button, to make sure you have proper naming convention, here I am following, since it is a enhancement implementation window, I am giving GEI underscore followed by the variable name. It is good if you provide, it's up to you whatever you are giving here, but if you give the variable name here, it will be easily identified that this enhancement implementation was created by for this variable. Okay, so always the naming conventions are for easily recognizing only. So enhancement for variable 0 element, and after that click on OK. So I'm saving currently this in a local object. So you see now this particular enhancement implementation for MSC02 was created. Now after getting entry here, select the entry and then click on tick button. Okay, then it will prompt for the BAdI implementation. Since it is a BAdI implementation, I am giving GBI underscore my variable name. Okay, so BAdI implementation for variable, and here we need to provide the class name also. If you see here, it is a mandatory field. Sorry, when you see some checkbox like this here, it is nothing but mandatory field. So since it is a class, we must give GCL underscore GCL. CL represents class followed by the variable name. So providing this variable name is mainly to recognize these objects easily. Okay, there is no other reason. Click on OK button, and then this also save as a local object. Now you enter into the implementation screen of your variable. Okay, here first we need to go for filter value. Okay, so what is filter value? So you are implementing in this particular BAdI, we may have multiple implementations, but when your implementation to be called, whatever you are creating, defining now, when this to be called by the program or by the SAP while executing your query. So that information we will provide here. Go to the edit mode of your implementation and create a combination. So when you are creating a combination, you see it is asking for the info object name. Generally, here it must be the variable name, because in the earlier scenarios which I worked, I will provide the variable name here, but somehow here I am seeing the info object name. It means each implementation will be called based upon the info object we are based on the info object basically. Okay, here you need to provide the info object name. Because I am creating this variable with the info object on info object 0 cal month, I am providing here 0 cal month. For example, here in place of info object, if you are seeing variable name, then simply provide your variable name here. What is your variable name? 0 cal month MSC02. Okay. So based upon the filter type, we are going to create this variable here, filter value here. Okay. We need to provide the filter value and then click on OK. So what exactly this filter value, I will let you know in some time. So we update the filter and then go to the implementation class. In the implementation class, there is a method called process. Double click on it and then click on S. Click on S, save the enhancement and go to the edit mode of your, here we need to write our code for the enhancement. Okay. Just select everything and click on activate, because all these are related to our same BAdI implementation. So all are activated successfully. Okay, so now I'm not writing anything. I'm just simply keeping one breakpoint here. Okay, because I want to show you when exactly this particular BAdI is going to call. Okay. So 1 minute, it is showing not activated, but it is in active state only. Let me go to one more time, SC18, display, implementations. You see this button is nothing but implementation is ready to call. Okay, it is in active state. Okay, so now how it is calling, I will show you. So since we implemented one BAdI for this one, if I go to RSRT now, or you can do it from here also, but to access the debug screen, I'm going to RSRT. Okay, I'm going to slash an RSRT, executing my query. So what is I step 1 first of all? So in the customer exits, we have multiple I steps, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. Right? One is before processing, means before selection screen comes, this I step 1 will be called. You see my program, the cursor came to the breakpoint which we defined now. Okay, how exactly it came here? Because in our query on the cal month info object, there is a customer exit variable. Okay, so in our query, if we are using 0 cal month in as a filter, if we are applying some customer exit variable on the 0 cal month info object, then definitely this particular BAdI is going to be called. So how system knows, to call this one? Because how it is means in the BAdI implementation, in this particular BAdI implementation, what we did, we defined a filter. In the filter, we given 0 cal month. So based upon this 0 cal month info object, whenever in the query, if cal month info object was used, then it comes here and it will check if any customer exit, matching defined here is matching with our query, with the filter applied on this query. Okay, it is little bit confusing because if it is a variable name here, it will be more clear, but in this particular system the filter was showing on the info object. Okay, but still it's okay to understand it. So I am going to now BAdI process. Let me exit from this because I don't want to fill anything here. Hmm. So now I'm going to here, I'm going to implement my enhance customer exit code here. So what customer exit code I am going to implement, because this particular implementation was calling for the at info object level. So I must check whether the variable is relevant to my variable or not. So if you click on this signature button, you can see the importing and exporting parameters of this particular method, just like function module only it is also. So using this I underscore VANM variable name, we can tell whether this which using for which variable this particular exit was called. So if IV variable name is equal to, so what is our customer exit variable name? My customer exit variable name is MSC02. So when the variable name is 0 cal month ME02 MSC02, then whatever logic I am going to write in between this if condition, that is going to be executed. So now what I am going to do now here, case I step, because the customer exit what we created is with the input ready, which is nothing but it will be called under I step 1. Okay, it will be called under I step 1 because before the selection screen is coming, we are trying to pre-populate that variable with some value. So that's why we must read with we must write the logic under I step 1. Okay, so what logic I am going to write here, I am going to update the variable with some value with the current month value. So how to update it? So in order to update it, you need to define one work area ls underscore range like line of c underscore t underscore range. So what is the CT range? CT range is nothing but the output. Like in the previous session, for the data source enhancement, how we updated our data to IT data or CT data, in the same way, at the end of this customer exit, whatever value we want to provide, we wish to provide to the custom variable, that needs to be updated to this CT range. Okay, so now for the because CT range is a table, I need to first work area to create the line and then update the line, insert that line to the CT range. So that's why I am using created one work area ls range. So ls range. So we need to update some column information. So ls range is a work area. Work area means a collection of some columns. So I am going to fill the column information. Sign is one of the column which we need to provide I, which is nothing but include. If it is exclude, you need to give E. ls range option. Okay, so what is option? Option is nothing but is it single value. If it is single value, we will provide equal to. If it is range, we will provide here between, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, that kind of operators we need to provide under operation. Okay, and then because it is single value, we have only low, we need to we must provide only low value. Under low value, I need to provide the calendar month information, year and month, which is nothing but YYYYMM from the current date. So see, simply how can I write it? From the side item, if I take the first 6 characters, which is nothing but the current month information. That's it. So we are done with the updating of your work area. I am not providing here. Why? Because the variable is of type single value, so there is no need to provide high value here. Now append this particular work area to the output table, which is nothing but c underscore t underscore range. Okay, pretty printer activate. So we are done with the execution. So now I am keeping a breakpoint here to explain how this is working, and I am going to RSRT. The reason for going to RSRT is only to debug the customer exit. So when I executed my query, you see it came here. Now what was the I step here? You see currently we are in I step 1. We are in I step 1. And what was the variable name? It called the variable name for which this implementation was called is 0 calmonth MSC02. So whenever this variable is matching with the variable which is calling, then it goes to inside of this if condition. And when the I step is 1, then only it goes to the code what we written here. So what exactly we are doing? Currently in CT range, we don't have any entries. And if you see the CT range structure, sign, option, low, high. Okay, this was the structure. Okay, leave it these things. Okay, so I am going. That's why I am going to update a work area with. So since I created ls range is also a work area of type this one. So you can see the definition of work area also with the same structure as CT range. Now I am updating my values here. So if you see under ls range low, we derived the month and year information from the current date. Okay, and appending this particular record to the CT range. You see now CT range contains single record. So now this CT range will be applied to our customer exit variable. When I continue this one, You see, I got 11.2022, which is by default the current month. Okay, so like this, because this is like this, we pre-populate the customer, the selection screen with some value, like current month or last month. For example, here the requirement is to get the last month of the last month. Every time the user wants to get the last month, simply what we do, we must do, create one local variable here, lv underscore date, lv underscore um, mm, date type D, okay, and then lv underscore month of 6 characters type C. Okay, so what I need to do, lv date is equal to side item, so I am taking current date into my local variable date, and then I am going to derive month here. Lv month is equal to lv date of 6. Okay, so what happened, this 2022-11 will be stored in the LV month. So how to derive last month? To derive the last month, simply I need to do the -1, because if you see, technically here 2022-11 is the current month. In order to get the last month, if I do -1, then this 11 becomes 0. Then sorry, 11 becomes 10. So simply LV month is equal to LV underscore month -1. Okay, but this is not correct always. For example, my current month is 2023-01 January. If you do -1, what happens? 2023-00. So is it the current month? No, which is wrong, right? So it is, we need to handle this kind of scenarios also. For that reason, what I will do, I need to do a case like if LV underscore, if that's why I need to create one more LV underscore month 2 of length 2 type C. Okay, LV underscore, no need to create variable also, like if we are good with offset using LV underscore month, okay, of plus 4 of 2, because we learned this offset concept in the early stages of our ABAP learning. So plus 4 of 2 is nothing but what? This is the LV month, LV month. So plus 4 of 2 means from 4 characters it will take these two. If LV month plus 4 of 2 is equal to 01. If it is January, then what I need to do? I need to define a variable here for not month 2 but LV year. Because if it is January, I need to go to last year, right? So for that reason, LV year I need it. So year means it is of type 4 characters. LV underscore year is equal to, from LV date, I am taking the first 4 characters which gives the current year. So if it is January, I need to go to last year. So for that reason, whenever it is January, what I am going to write here, LV underscore year is equal to LV underscore year -1. So that the year becomes 1 year back. Okay. Now after this, I need to concatenate this LV underscore year, because if it is January, the last month is always December. So I know, since I know it, I am hard coding with December 12th month into, you can write here ls underscore range underscore range hyphen low, because at the end we want to bring this information into here only. So for that reason you can bring it, or if it is difficult for you, then simply lv underscore month also you can use, because lv underscore month is of already we defined a variable of length 6. So simply year and month you concatenate and store under lv month. Okay. If it is not January, in any other case, simply doing -1 will suffice your requirement. So you can do in this way. So whenever it is January, it is checking the month from the year, checking the month number from your LV month variable. If it is January 01, I am reducing the year to -1 and then concatenating with December month and storing under LV month variable. If it is not January, any other month, simply by doing -1, you will get the last month information. So at the end, what we are going to do, we are going to provide this in. So whatever logic we written here, so we must include this logic under our case when. Okay, so because if it is I, if the variable is this and the I step is 1, then we are going to implement this kind of logic. So we need to do in this way. So in this scenario, what I need to do for LV underscore range low, I must provide LV month value because I did some calculation to derive the LV month. For that reason, I am doing LV month. So if I click on activate button and then execute. So I'm not keeping any breakpoint here at this point of time. So simply I'm going to RSRT executing my variable. Automatically it is pre-filled with the last month value. You see 10th month came here. So this is how to implement a customer exit variable. Okay, so it's a simple customer exit variable with the current month, last month, current last date, like this. Anything you can give in this way. But one of the frequent requirement what we get in our BW for is year to date, month to date reports. Okay, for year to date, month to date reports also you are supposed to create some customer exit variable.